Welcome to the Methods of Coding supplemental video for RAC-CT's Introduction to ICD-10-CM for Long-Term Care. When determining what codes to assign each diagnosis, there are many methodologies that can be used. The full coding manual, which includes the alphabetical index and tabular list, as well as the ICD-10-CM official guidelines for coding and reporting for each fiscal year. Online coding, software coding, and facility or provider developed cheat sheets. It's important to note that the code set and guidelines are updated twice a year, so up-to-date methodologies must be used. So where do we get the codes? The definitive way to assign an ICD-10-CM code is to use the full ICD-10-CM coding manual, which includes the official guidelines, alphabetical index, and tabular list. Using this will make you a better coder. You can obtain all the information you need to assign a code for free from the cms.gov website, or you can purchase the full comprehensive manual from a variety of publishers. Different publishers have variations within their ICD-10-CM book, such as color coding, symbols, and keys, but the codes and descriptions are standard regardless of the publisher. APACN does not endorse any specific publishers. Usually the first several pages of a hard copy published ICD-10 coding manual provide the history, official coding conventions, guidelines, and instructions for using the book. This puts all of the required cross-references into one rather large book. Let's take a look at where to find the free PDFs available for download. CMS.gov has a very user-friendly website. If you enter ICD-10-CM and the fiscal year in the search box, it will bring you to the page with the zip files for download at the bottom of the page. The alpha index and tabular list are found in the code tables and the list zip file, and the official guidelines can be found at the coding guidelines PDF file. When you click on the zip file for the alpha and tabular lists, this is what you will see. Each section of the ICD-10 manual is in a separate PDF file. Here you can download the alphabetical index of diseases, the index of external causes, the table of neoplasms, the table of drugs and chemicals, and the tabular list. Clicking on the alpha index will open this PDF. On the left-hand side of the screen are the bookmarks of the alphabet. Clicking on the letter will bring you to that letter in the index on the right. The body of the alphabetical index in the free PDF version is the no-frills version of the index as compared to what you might see in some of the published manuals. Main terms are in bold and subterms are indented. This PDF uses dashes to show the indenting, and this is sometimes difficult to follow when using the PDF electronically. A single dash is an indented subterm from the main term. A double dash is an indented subterm from the single dash subterm, and the triple dash is an indented subterm from the double dash subterm. So looking at what is on the screen, deafness is the main category. Nerve injury is a double dash indent, which means the nerve injury is associated with the single dash term above it. In this case, deafness specific to aviation. The nerve injury code is associated with aviation deafness and not a generalized nerve injury, which is found later in the alphabetical index. Another not so user-friendly aspect of the free PDF is what happens when there is a page break. Unlike some of the published versions, the main term is not repeated at the beginning of the next page, so it's possible to get confused when looking at the main term that has many subcategories that go on to the next page. As you can see after the page break, this is a continuation of the main term of deafness. Here we have examples of the tabular list from the free PDF version versus a sample of a publisher's version. As you can see, the publisher has added color coding, symbols, and graphics to make the tabular list more visually appealing and easier to follow. The main content in the tabular list is the same regardless. When looking at online coding, this may be helpful only if you are already familiar with a code. Online coding includes internet search engines or personal assistants. There are free websites on ICD-10 coding available, but none of these are recommended for use as a primary resource for assigning ICD-10 codes, as the online resources may not follow the conventions, guidelines, and instructions required, especially in the long-term care setting. Software coding includes paid subscription to a coding program or electronic books. Usually these include all of the components of the full ICD-10-CM coding manual and guidelines, and these are nice to have as it's easier than carrying around a large book. However, each user must be licensed for use, so this can get very expensive. Electronic health record or billing software usually has a search function within them. However, the intent of these searches is to enter a code in the system once you already have knowledge of the conventions, instructions, and guidelines for that code. These searches are not intended to be the main resource for assigning an ICD-10 code. Facility developed or provider developed or rehab developed cheat sheets are never recommended. Many times, these are just cheat sheets that are driven by payment and not clinical picture. ICD-10 codes are updated biannually, and the facility cheat sheets may not be accurate. Cheat sheets are only as accurate as the person who created them and the manual from which the codes were obtained. No matter what level of education you have on ICD-10 coding, if you have and use the full manual, including the alphabetical index, the tabular list, and the complementing official guidelines, then you will become a more proficient coder.